Hello. I'll start immediately. I have so much to do. I have so many chapters left for the exam. But I'm starting with great enthusiasm. I came home early today, so that's great. I have a lot of time. Tomorrow's Sunday, so today and tomorrow, so much to do because we have an exam on 11th. So today, tomorrow, day after, I'm gonna go crazy on physiology. Just today and tomorrow, basically, and day after, also, yeah. Okay, no time pass. Let's just start. Let's go. I'm very focused today. I'm a very like, let's get it done kind of mood. Check. We'll start. Hello, Inaya. Hello, all that may bless. And hi, Yash. Endocrine pancreas and glucose homeostasis. Endocrine pancreas and glucose homeostasis. So we have endocrine pancreas and glucose homeostasis. Hi, Rida. Hi, Anandi. Yes. Today college got over early somehow. So good. Just came home a while back. Just had a bath and why there's only lines in between. This is the light का the ठीक है अभी. It's fine. Let's start. Okay, I'll put this down now. Focus. Catabolism is the breakdown of complex molecules into simpler forms during metabolism that is usually associated with the release of energy. Gluconeogenesis is the process of formation of glucose. I have to finish diet no matter what. Is the formation of glucose from sources other than carbohydrates such as amino acids. And I'm timing every page and I will not exceed 10 minutes no matter what. Sanmay, you cannot exceed 10 minutes no matter what. Because a page ideally should not take more than 10 minutes. So it'll probably be, if I'm laxing only then. Amino acid or glycerol from triglycerides. Glycogenolysis is process of breaking down glycogen to glucose. Hyperglycemia. Level of blood glucose is abnormally above the normal range. Diabetic patient are going to excrete increased excretion of urine. This was consistent of 3 fatty acids. Homeostasis model assessment and index of fasting glucose levels by fasting glucose to assess beta cell function. It's called homeostasis model assessment. Homeostasis model assessment called HOMA. Homeostasis model assessment. Homeostasis model assessment and index of fasting insulin levels by insulin glucose levels to assess the beta cell function. Okay, so HOMA is to check fasting glucose levels. This is actually an important test. Fasting glucose levels to check the fasting insulin levels to check by checking the fasting glucose levels and to check the beta cell function. ठीक है. Now we move on. Secretagogue is a substance or that promotes or stimulates secretion. Substance. Okay, secretagogue. Secretagogue is a substance that stimulates secretion. That's called secretagogue. And yeah, next break we will take at 4 p.m. We can discuss then at 4 p.m. Secretagogue is a substance that promotes or stimulates secretion in pancreas in addition to digestive function. It secretes two major hormones, insulin and glucagon, that are crucial for the normal regulation of glucose, lipid, and protein metabolism. Although the pancreas secretes other hormones such as amylin, somatostatin, and pancreatic polypeptide. Amylin, somatostatin, and pancreatic polypeptide. Amylin is also secreted, and pancreatic polypeptide. The function as not well established. The main purpose of the chapter is to acini. And it's it secrete insulin and glucagon directly into the blood. 1 to 2 million islets of Langerhans, and each islet is only from 3 millimeters from organized around small capillaries. Individual cells secrete the blood. Containing 3 millimeters of beta and delta cells are distinguished from each other by the morphological and staining characteristics. The close interrelation among these cell types and islets of Langerhans allow cell-to-cell communication and direct control of secretion. The close interaction among the cell types allows cell-to-cell communication and direct control of secretion. Cell-to-cell communication and direct control of secretion of these hormones by the other hormones. Direct control of the secretion. So secretion is also controlled and direct communication is also established. For instance, insulin inhibits glucagon secretion, amylin inhibits insulin secretion, and somatostatin inhibits the secretion of both insulin. I did not know this. In amylin, secretagogue is something that simulates secretion, and amylin inhibits insulin. This is alpha. This is islet of Langerhans. This is pancreatic acini. This is the physiological anatomy: red blood cells. This is beta cell. This is delta cell. Alpha, beta, delta, and isolation. Okay, done. We finished this page in 4 minutes. Not bad. Let's go. Keep going. Beta cells are 60%. They secrete insulin and amylin. Alpha cells, IGS is bad. Always remember, IGS is bad. That is the mnemonic. Beta cells, alpha cells, glucagon, delta cells, PP cells are pancreatic polypeptide. So there are pancreatic polypeptide cells. PP cells, they secrete pancreatic polypeptide. Pancreatic polypeptide. And 60% is beta 60%, but you also have PP cells, which are called pancreatic polypeptide cells, and they will secrete pancreatic insulin has metabolic effects. So this was pancreatic overnight distribution. Deficiency causes abnormalities of fat and protein metabolism, leading to wasting of the tissues and many cellular disorders. The insulin affects fat and protein almost as much as it affects carbohydrate. Now, insulin is a hormone associated with energy abundance. As we discussed, insulin in the few initial pages, we come a person's diet includes a great abundance of food that provides energy, especially excess amount of. When a person's diet has excess amount of carbohydrates, insulin secretion increases. In turn, insulin is important in storing the excess energy. In case of excess carbohydrates, it causes them to be stored as glycogen, mainly in the liver and the muscles. Furthermore, all the excess carbohydrates cannot be stored as glycogen or converted into under the stimulus into fats and carbohydrates into fats. So first glycogen, and then when we convert it into fats, and amino acid by cell, and converting these amino acid into protein. Inhibits the breakdown of protein during chemistry and synthesis. Proinsulin. Proinsulin is then cleaved in the endoplasmic reticulum. Proinsulin becomes proinsulin in the endoplasmic reticulum. Proinsulin, proinsulin. 11,000. This becomes 11,000 to 9K. Finally 5. 5.8 k. So 11k, 9k, 5.8k is the weight of insulin. 11k, 9k, 5k. This is proinsulin. This is C chain. This is A chain. This is B chain. A chain, C chain, B chain. The C chain is cleaved. N terminal, and finally you have the C terminal. Okay. 30 and 21. A is 21, 21, 30. A 21, B 30. A 21, B 30. A 21, B 30. A 21, B 30. Secretion granule C peptide is removed. Cleave in the Golgi apparatus. So Golgi में it is what? Oh, so proinsulin is cleaved in the Golgi. So within A you have one disulfide, within B you have no disulfide, within A one disulfide, within B two disulfides. So within B you have two disulfide, zero. So within B you have zero, between A and B you have two disulfide chains. Within A you have one, and within B you have zero. Within B zero, A में एक होता है और B में B और A के बीच में दो रहते हैं. ठीक है. Most of the proinsulin is further cleaved in the Golgi apparatus to form insulin, which is composed. So in the endoplasmic reticulum, the pre-proinsulin becomes proinsulin. Golgi में is called a connecting peptide. %, secreted in the form of proinsulin. %, and the final secreted product is in the form of 10% of the final secreted product is in the form of proinsulin. C-peptide activates. C-peptide will activate So C-peptide will activate endothelial nitric oxide synthase and sodium potassium ATPase. C-peptide will activate endothelial nitric oxide synthase and sodium potassium ATPase. Although the enzymes have multiple physiological functions, both these enzymes, the importance of C-peptide regulating the enzymes is on the insulin-treated diabetic patients determine how much of their own natural insulin they are still producing. Radio immunoassay. So in insulin-treated diabetic patients, you check the C-peptide levels to check how much of their own insulin also they are producing. Patients with type 1 diabetes are unable to produce insulin will usually also have greatly decreased levels Insulin circulation and metabolism, then the insulin is secreted in the blood, circulates almost entirely in the unbound form because it has a plasma half-life of 6 minutes. Plasma half-life of insulin is 6 minutes. 6 minutes is the plasma half-life of insulin. It is cleared from the circulation within 10 to 15 minutes. So 10 to 15 minutes it is cleared from circulation and it has a half-life of just 6 minutes. Insulin that is not bound with receptors in the target cells is degraded by the enzyme insulinase, mainly in the liver. So you have more in kidneys and muscle. So insulinase is mainly in the liver, but also the kidney and the muscle. So insulinase is where in the kidney and liver. One most important is the liver. Okay. Insulinase is mostly in the liver, but also in the kidney and the muscle. Insulinase is in the liver, but also in some amount in the kidney. Insulin is mainly in the liver, but also and still some amount is present in the kidney and the muscles. Okay. Insulin and the half-life is a plasma half-life is 6 minutes and it is degraded within 10 to 15 minutes. Mainly in the liver, but also present in the muscles and the kidney. Activation target cells by insulin and resulting cellular effects. Initially, the insulin was first binding the activated membrane receptor protein that is into the weight of 3 lakh. Membrane receptor protein that is 3 lakh. The insulin receptors are so it's composed of 3 lakh weight. Is a combination of 4 subunits held together by disulfide linkages. So it is a combination of 4 subunits held together by disulfide linkages, that is 2 alpha units that lie entirely outside and 2 beta subunits that penetrate through the membrane. So entirely outside is 2 alpha and 2 beta penetrate through the cell membrane. So alpha subunits will be entirely outside and the 2 beta subunits will be penetrating through the membrane. So 2 alpha subunits are entirely outside and 2 beta subunits are penetrating the membrane, protein. Insulin binds to the alpha subunits on the outside of the cell. Insulin will bind to the alpha subunits on the outside of the cell. Insulin binds with the alpha subunits. Insulin binds with the alpha receptors on the outside of the cell. Alpha subunits on the outside, but because of the linkages with the beta subunits, portion of the beta subunits protruding into the cell become autophosphorylated. So insulin will bind with alpha, but the beta gets autophosphorylated and activates a local tyrosine kinase. Ah, right. I just today only I heard about it. So क्या होता है इंसुलिन रिसेप्टर में अल्फा बीटा रहता है इंसुलिन रिसेप्टर हैज बोथ अल्फा बीटा insulin has receptor has both alpha beta, but the alpha chain is outside, the beta chain is inside, and chain outside, alpha beta chain inside. But the best part is कि when it touches alpha, beta भी activate हो जाता है, beta auto phosphorylate होता है, beta gets touched, whatever, beta gets activated, auto phosphorylate हुआ, so insulin आया, alpha को bind किया, then beta gets auto phosphorylated, and that causes the release of tyrosine kinase. So it causes the release of tyrosine kinase as the insulin receptor is an example of enzyme linked receptor. Insulin receptor is an enzyme linked receptor. Tyrosine kinase. मतलब it has tyrosine kinase. No, insulin receptor is a enzyme linked receptor. It's an enzyme linked. Tyrosine kinase in turn causes phosphorylation of multiple other intercellular substances, including a group of substrates called insulin receptor substrates (IRS). So this will cause activates IRS, insulin receptor substrate. Insulin receptor substrate. In this way, insulin detects the intracellular metabolic machinery to produce the desired effect. On the following are the main end effects of insulin stimulation. This is the increasing uptake of glucose in most cells, especially muscle and adipose cells. Muscle cells and adipose cell uptake. Again, relation to glucose transport. Insulin causes a rapid uptake. Insulin causes rapid uptake. Rapid uptake of insulin. Effect of insulin on the muscle. High carbohydrate mean the high blood glucose causes a rapid secretion of insulin. So it's 9 minutes on this page faster. However, rapid more glucose or more insulin. Much of the day, muscle tissue depends. Muscle tissue during the day depends on fatty acid. The resting muscle membrane is only slightly permeable to glucose without the effect of insulin. The schematic diagram engine matches alpha subunit which causes beta subunit. It causes tyrosine. Beta subunit will cause tyrosine and the receptor tyrosine and activity because of acid phosphorus and insulin receptor substance. Okay, 10 minutes 30 seconds. Let's go faster. However, under two conditions, the muscles do use large amount of glucose during moderate or heavy exercise. The excess muscle become more permeable to glucose. This uses of glucose does not require large amounts of insulin because the muscle contraction increases translocation of GLUT4 muscle contraction GLUT4 from intercellular storage deposits to the cell membrane. So muscle contraction will cause GLUT4 to come out during heavy or moderate exercise. From intercellular Himala chapter, insulin I will finish today. Everyone put your goals, please. We'll all keep each other accountable. I'll finish insulin today. I'll finish neurophysiology today. And I will finish respiratory system, whatever is remaining. And even cardiac, I'll check if something is remaining. And then start with LMR of these chapters. Even I'm going to start making LMR. I feel that's otherwise it's impossible to revise. And it's okay now. I may take more time, but I still have a lot of time. And overall, it'll help me for NEETPG also. So LMR making also I will pakka do. Of physio only, whatever chapter. No, whatever test I'll have now, uska proper LMR I'll have it made only. I'll make it properly. So I'll have a good confidence in this LMR making. Because ultimately LMR is only what sustains me in the last few months, few weeks. Okay, let's go. Right. I'll continue. I should go for charging. Good, Janvi. I'm glad you're also joining. How's Tanya doing? Anyways, chalo. Surge of glycogen in the muscle. If the muscles are not exercised after a meal, and glucose. If muscles are not exercised after a meal, and yet glucose is transported into the muscle cells in abundance. So muscles are not excreted, exercised, and yet glucose is transported in the muscle in abundance. Instead of being used for energy, most of the glucose is stored in the form of glycogen up to a limit of 2 to 3%. Extreme energy unit uses and sports of anaerobic energy. Most protein synthesis and storage. Insulin stimulates transport of many of the amino acids into the cells. So amino acid will go into cell. Among the amino acids most strongly transported are valine, leucine, isoleucine, tyrosine, phenylalanine. Phenylalanine, leucine, isoleucine. So all the essential ones only. Valine, till, tryptophan, isoleucine, leucine, then phenylalanine and tyrosine. So valine, isoleucine, leucine, tyrosine, and phenylalanine. It is called TV, TV lip, TV lip insulin, TV lip insulin. So TV lip insulin is tyrosine, valine, leucine, isoleucine, and phenylalanine. Phenylalanine is TV lip insulin. TV lip insulin. ठीक है. Insulin increases the translation of messenger RNA, thus forming new proteins. Translation of messenger mRNA का translation होगा और long range insulin से requires. अरे how slow? Oh, it's already 10 minutes. Come on. Over a period, insulin also increases the rate of transcription of selected DNA sequences in the cell, thus promoting protein synthesis. Rate of transcription of selected DNA increases the rate of transcription of the selected DNA sequences. Selected DNA sequences increase the translation of the selected DNA sequences. Fine. Translation of the selected DNA sequences, and it will increase the rate of transcription, thus promoting protein synthesis. So more protein synthesis. Correct. rate of transcription बढ़ रहा है. Rate of transcription will increase. Rate of transcription increases. Correct. So you have the rate of transcription that will increase. Rate. Okay. Focus. Transcription and translation. Transcription and translation. So basically, transcription करेगा, translation करेगा, inhibits the catalysis amino acid release in the muscle cell. So it will keep the proteins, especially in the muscles. It promotes increased cell transport of potassium into the cells. Increases the activity of sodium and potassium into the muscle by stimulating the NAK ATPase present on the cell membrane. Activity of NAK ATPase. Lower the potassium concentration in the blood. Effects of insulin on the liver. Promotes liver uptake, storage, and use of glucagon. The most important effects of insulin is to cause most of the glucose absorbed after meal to be stored almost immediately into the liver in the form of glycogen. Inactivates the liver phosphorylase, the principal enzyme that causes liver glycogen to split into glucose. There is an enzyme called liver phosphorylase. Liver phosphorylase is a principal enzyme that will cause liver glycogen to split into glucose. Liver phosphorylase causes liver glycogen to go into glucose. Liver glycogen to glucose is by phosphorylase, liver phosphorylase. Liver glycogen to glucose is by liver phosphorylase. This inactivation prevents the breakdown of glycogen that has been stored in the fat cells. It will prevent the breakdown of glycogen that has been stored in the liver cells. Prevents the breakdown of glycogen. Correct. So liver phosphorylase converts the glycogen to glucose, or insulin will inhibit it. Inactivate it. Enhances uptake of glucose from the blood by the liver cells by increasing the activity of enzyme glucokinase. Enzyme glucokinase. So enhanced uptake by glucokinase. Uptake बढ़ाएगा किससे? Glucokinase से. और liver phosphorylase से it will prevent the splitting of glycogen into glucose. Next, it stimulates glycogen synthase. So that was glucokinase. What am I saying? Glucokinase will cause more transport. Glucokinase. So glucokinase is reducing the uptake of glucose from the blood into the liver. Glucose into the liver. Fine. Glucose into liver. कौन करता है? Glucokinase करता है. And liver phosphorylase. What is liver phosphorylase doing? Liver phosphorylase is preventing the conversion of glycogen into glucose. Fine. That's liver phosphorylase. Fine. Easy. Let's go. So, fast. Glycogen synthase, it promotes glycogen synthesis. Obviously, glycogen synthase will glycogen formation. ठीक. Glycogen synthase, glycogen. So it activates liver phosphorylase, it stimulates glucokinase, it stimulates glycogen synthase, and in the liver, insulin depresses the rate of gluconeogenesis by decreasing the activity of enzymes that promote gluconeogenesis. Suppression of gluconeogenesis conserves the amino acid in the body, stores they form the major substrate for gluconeogenesis. So it's conserving amino acid, they form the major substrate, and it's conserving them. The net effect is to increase the amount of glycogen in the liver, which can store up to 100 grams in the entire liver. 100 gram of glycogen, that's a lot. 100 gram of glycogen can be stored in the liver. Liver is huge. I like held the liver that day. That was, it's huge and it's so like thick, and like it's very strong also as a tensile. Not tensile, whatever that's it doesn't compress any. Thus the liver removes glucose from the blood when it is present in excess. Liver removes glucose from the blood when it is present in excess after a meal. Liver will remove the glucose from the blood when it is present in excess after a meal. So because conversion of excess glucose. So insulin carries this triglyceride as in the form of VLDL into the gluconeogenesis. Insulin. Availability of these necessary precursors. Okay. Insulin and glucagon. Take. Fine. Effect of insulin on the liver promotes liver uptake, storage, and use of liver uptake, storage, and use of glucose. Prevents the breakdown of glycogen. Preventing the breakdown of glycogen. ठीक. No glycogen breakdown. So fast है. Liver uptake, storage, and use of glucose. It prevents breakdown of glycogen, promotes the glycogen synthesis, increases glucose uptake from the blood. Glucose uptake blood से बढ़ा रहा है. This the first enzyme used was what? Liver phosphorylase को inactivate करता है. It inactivates liver phosphorylase. Inactivation of liver phosphorylase. It's Okay, let's go. Promotes liver uptake, storage, and use of glucose, prevents the breakdown of glycogen, promotes the glycogen synthesis. Promotes glycogen synthesis. किससे ग्लाइकोजन सिंथेसिस किससे करेगा ग्लाइकोजन सिंथेस ग्लाइकोजन सिंथेस ग्लूकोज अपटेक किससे बढ़ाएगा ग्लूकोकाइनेज so very logical actually if you think about it depresses gluconeogenesis again इसको भी enzymes को block करेगा promotes the conversion of excess glucose into fatty acids and that fatty acids become TGs that TGs goes as VLDL and that is stored in adipose and it promotes protein synthesis which we will see how and this is the effect of insulin on the liver only okay glucose is released from the liver between when the glucose level glucose blood when the blood glucose level begins to fall to a lower level between meals several events transpire that cause liver to release glucose back into the circulating blood when the blood glucose level begins to fall अभी blood glucose कम हुआ and दोनों meals के बीच में low level हो गया correct now liver will release glucose back into the blood okay fine pancreas decreases insulin secretion insulin then reverses all the effects as listed earlier for glycogen storage the lack of insulin activates the enzyme liver phosphorylase which causes glycogenolysis the lack of insulin activates the liver enzyme glucose phosphatase releasing free glucose. So glucose phosphatase will get 100 gram of glycogen stored. Glucose phosphatase is releasing free lack of अगर insulin नहीं है तो क्या release होगा glucose phosphatase and that will cause free glucose to flow in the blood. ठीक My God, this page took 20 minutes. I cannot believe it. Yeah, also the thing camera went in the middle, but that's no excuse. Okay, 20 minutes is just not acceptable. Okay, focus. You have so much to do. 2 days you have to really go all out. Should I sleep less? No, we cannot compromise on sleep. We'll compromise on everything else, but not sleep. So today study a lot. Tomorrow also study a lot. You have today, tomorrow, day after. 8, 9, 10. Just study like crazy. Do well, decently well in the physio exam at least. So 3 days just go all in. Get thoda confidence. Make LMR also. I don't know if it's feasible to make all LMR, but I will definitely try to make an LMR and then uh, really go all in with the studies. ठीक है, let's go. Hmm. Gluconeogenesis. 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 Insulin promotes protein synthesis in the liver by stimulating actions as seen in the muscle cells. Stimulates the synthesis of proteins in the liver by similar actions as seen in the muscle cells. So liver में भी protein बनाएगा, muscle में भी बनाएगा. अरे यार, why do I forget? Correct. Tryptophan, valine, tryptophan, valine, leucine, isoleucine, phenylalanine. हाँ ट्रांसक्रिप्शन बढ़ाएगा ट्रांसलेशन बढ़ाएगा ट्रांसक्रिप्शन बढ़ाएगा ऑफ कोर्स and promote the protein synthesis in the liver so it's promoting the synthesis of protein fine synthesis of protein similar to seeing yeah chalo fast I have to finish this page win time gotta finish Effect of insulin and the adipose tissue. Several insulin on adipose tissue that lead to fat storage in the adipose tissue. Firstly, it increases the utilization of glucose by most of the body's tissue cells. It will increase the utilization of glucose. क्या करेगा? Glucose का utilization बढ़ेगा by most of the body's tissues, which automatically decreases the utilization of fat. Decreases the utilization of fat because it increases the utilization of glucose, and insulin is called a fat sparer. It is a fat sparer. The role of insulin in the storage of fat in adipose. And other effects that are required for fat storage inhibits the action of hormone sensitive. Okay, I finished that page. Yeah, that page took really long. Next, inhibit the action of hormone sensitive lipase that causes hydrolysis of TGs stored in fat cells. Inhibits the action of hormone sensitive lipase that causes hydrolysis of it. So this inhibits the release of fatty acid from the adipose into the circulating blood. So inhibits the release of fatty acid into the circulating blood. And it inhibits the insulin will inhibit the action of hormone sensitive lipase. It's inhibiting the action of hormone sensitive lipase. And it causes the hydrolysis. Hormone sensitive lipase will cause the hydrolysis of fatty acids, triglycerides stored in the fatty acids. So it will cause the hydrolysis of triglycerides that are stored in the fatty acid. This inhibits the release of fatty acid. ठीक है. Basically वो जो सेंसिटिव लाइपेज है, हार्मोन सेंसिटिव लाइपेज, वो एक्टिवेट ही नहीं होगा अगर इफ नो एक्टिवेशन ऑफ हार्मोन सेंसिटिव लाइपेज, देन बेसिकली नो transport of the adipose into the blood because it doesn't have a hormone sensitive. ठीक है, बस हो गया कितना. Promotes the glucose transport through the cell membrane into the fat cells. So it will promote the glucose through the cell membrane into the fat cells. Cell membrane से जाएगा fat में जाएगा. Correct. So this glucose then is to synthesize. Insulin promotes the formation of large quantities of alpha glycerol phosphate from glucose. This substance supplies the glycerol. This substance supplies the glycerol that combines with fatty acid. So glucose से क्या बनेगा? Alpha glycerol. Now this alpha glycerol will give the glycerol. It will form with fatty acid to form TGs that are stored as fat in adipose tissue. It promotes TG formation in the liver that is transported to the adipose and deposited there. So वो TG फॉर्मेट करवाता है लिवर में और वो किधर जाएगा? एडिपोज में जाएगा. Increases the transport of K plus ions into the adipose tissue cells. Transport of K plus into adipose tissue. So increase the transport of glucose into the adipose tissue. Glucose को बढ़ाएगा adipose में. Correct. It inhibits the action of hormone sensitive lipase. So no transport of fatty acid. Hormone sensitive lipase को inhibit करेगा. Promotes the formation of large quantities of alpha glycerol phosphate from glucose. Alpha glycerol phosphate of glucose. Alpha glycerol phosphate of glucose. अल्फा ग्लिसरॉल. ठीक है. It promotes the synthesis of fatty acids. It will promote the synthesis of fatty acid and promotes the formation of large quantities of alpha glycerol. It promotes the Uh, Promotes the synthesis of fatty acid. Uh, Promotes synthesis of fatty acid and promotes triglyceride transport and deposition in the adipose tissue. Deposition in adipose tissue, triglyceride transport, synthesis of fatty acid synthesis होगा, triglyceride transport होगा and deposition triglyceride transport and K plus transport. So it wants to keep the TGs in the adipose, and it does not want. It wants everything to stay in the muscle or whatever, in the adipose only. It doesn't want anything to go out of that. My God, this chapter is big, but it's probably one of the most important chapters because it's like diabetes and glucose and like metabolic syndrome. So that's a very important topic. Diabetes, metabolic syndrome, glucose, gluconeogenesis, gluconeogenesis, gluconeogenesis. Okay. Let's go. Let's go. That's TG. So TGs, fine. TGs are on formation of this. Let's go. Now, coming to effect of insulin on adipose tissue, we read that. Kitna time hai? How many pages are there? We are on currently page 771 and it goes right till. Okay, I shouldn't think, just go and do it. 10 pages, 10 pages, 10 minutes later. 10 minutes is 1.5, 2 hours. Bus. 5:30 we're done with insulin. 5:30 stop insulin. Directly head to neurophysiology. Finish everything in neurophysio. Go to CVS. Maybe whatever is left. Raat ko. Or tomorrow, I don't know. Coronary circulation. And then finally we have neurophysiology will be done. RS, I don't know how much I've even done. So RS karna hai, neurophysiology, insulin deficiency, yes, insulin metabolism also I finished. ठीक. Effects of insulin deficiency and fat on protein metabolism. That's really fast. It's been 5 minutes since this page. I got to finish it within next 5 minutes. Which is not possible, but I'll try. Insulin deficiency and fat and protein metabolism, all aspects of fat breakdown. So insulin deficiency on what? On fat and proteins. अगर इंसुलिन नहीं होगा तो क्या होगा? ठीक है. Enhance in the aspects of the breakdown is occurring normally between the enzyme secretion of insulin is minimal, but it becomes extinct. अगर इंसुलिन नहीं होगा तो then deficiency will cause lipolysis of storage fat. This because enzyme hormone sensitive lipase becomes strongly activated. Hormone sensitive lipase will become strongly activated. This causes hydrolysis or stored triglycerides raising acid acid not immediately available. Plasma cholesterol and increases plasma cholesterol and phospholipid concentration. These substances are then discharged into the blood along with excess triglycerides found. The high lipid concentration, especially the high concentration of cholesterol, promotes germs of atherosclerosis with severe diabetes. With high concentration of cholesterol. Mm, excess usage of fats during insulin lack causes ketosis and acidosis. Insulin lack also causes excessive amounts of acetoacetic acid to be found in the liver cells from acetyl-CoA enzyme. Some of the acetoacetic is converted to beta-hydroxybutyric acid and acetone. These substances, along with acetoacetic acid, are called ketone bodies and are present in large quantities in the body fluid. This is called ketosis, which can cause severe acidosis and coma, which may cause death. Insulin deficiency causes protein depletion and increased plasma amino acids. Increased, insulin deficiency will cause protein depletion and increased plasma amino acids. Virtually all the protein storage comes to a halt when insulin is not available. All protein storage is come to a halt when synthesis stops. Large quantities of amino acids are dumped into plasma. Protein wasting, it can lead to extreme weakness and deranged functions of organs. So it will cause extreme weakness and there's a protein wasting, extreme weakness and deranged functions. Now, effect of insulin on the protein metabolism and growth. Insulin on the protein metabolism and growth. Insulin on protein metabolism and growth. Fine. Hmm. So what will insulin do on the metabolism and the growth? ठीक है. Insulin metabolism and growth. Hmm. Protein growth and metabolism. Protein growth and metabolism. Increased protein growth and metabolism. ठीक है. It's difficult to sustain. Next break is at 4. Come on, focus. I haven't even cleared my stuff. ठीक है. ठीक है. So this is the effect of insulin on the protein metabolism and growth. Protein metabolism and growth. Protein metabolism and growth. Insulin and growth hormone interact synergistically to promote growth. Really? Okay. Insulin and growth hormone. Insulin is required for synthesis of protein essential as growth hormone for growth of an animal, as demonstrated a depancreatized hypophysemized rat. Hypophysis, epiphysis, epiphysis, hypophysis, hypophysemized rat. Okay, next. This page took 11 minutes to complete. Can do better for sure. The effect of growth hormone insulin plus insulin on the growth in a depancreatized and hypophysectomized rat. You have depancreatized and hypophysectomized rat. ग्रोथ हार्मोन कम हुआ, इंसुलिन कम हुआ, तो कुछ नहीं हो रहा है. Mechanism of insulin is the basic mechanism for insulin secretion by the pancreatic beta cells in response to increased blood glucose concentration. The beta cells have large number of glucose transporters that permit beta cells have glucose transporters that permit a rate of glucose influx that is proportional to the blood concentration in the physiological range. So beta cells have a large number of glucose transporters that permit a rate of glucose influx that is proportional to the blood concentration in the physiological range. ओह, पहले पहले ग्लूकोज को एक्टिवेट करने के लिए इंसुलिन को एक्टिवेट करने के लिए ग्लूकोज ही आता है. दिस इज इंटरेस्टिंग मैकेनिज्म. मतलब ऑलरेडी ओके ग्लूकोज इज हाई दैट्स व्हाई. So it'll take up glucose, the cell, right? It'll cause, then that insulin will cause the changes in the metabolism of itself. I mean, the glucose will itself cause. ठीक है, I got it. Hmm. ठीक है. Insulin. Fine. Uh, in the mechanisms, the glucose inside the cell is phosphorylated to glucose 6 kinase by the glucokinase enzyme. Glucokinase will phosphorylate glucose to glucose 6 kinase. It appears to be a rate limiting step for glucose metabolism in the beta cell. So glucose 6 phosphate by the glucokinase is the rate limiting step. The glucose 6 phosphate is subsequently oxidized to form ATP. ATP inhibits the ATP sensitive potassium channels of the cell. Closure of potassium channel depolarizes the membrane, thereby opening the voltage gated calcium channels. कुछ भी random about. So glucose अंदर आया, glucose became glucose 6 phosphate. With the help of glucokinase, now the glucose 6 phosphate again gave back the phosphate to form ATP. That ATP will inhibit the ATP sensitive potassium channels of the cell. More ATP, so will inhibit the potassium sensitive ATP channels. Potassium sensitive ATP channels. No, sorry. What am I saying? ATP sensitive potassium. ATP sensitive potassium channels, and the closure will deeper. See, so ATP sensitive potassium channels will close, and they will depolarize the cell. So that closure will cause the depolarization of the cell membrane. ATP sensitive potassium channels will get depolarized. They will cause the depolarization of the cell and open the voltage gated calcium channels. The influx of calcium stimulates the fusion of docked insulin containing vesicles with the cell membrane and secretion of insulin in the ECF by exocytosis. So there will be influx of calcium which will stimulate the fusion of the docked insulin containing vesicles. So there will be fusion of the docked insulin containing vesicles. So there will be these docked insulin containing vesicles. They'll be fused with the cell membrane, and the secretion of insulin in the ECF fluid will be by exocytosis. Damn. Okay. That's a good mechanism though. So you have first glucose coming in by GLUT2, becoming glucose 6 phosphate, gets oxidized to form ATP. ATP acts with ATP sensitive potassium channels that will cause K plus 2 voltage gated calcium channels open, bind to the vesicle. Okay. Insulin dependent. Hmm. Insulin, fine. Insulin dependent ATP kinase. I'll just be back. Yes. It was a good break. I had a good power nap, 10 minutes, nice sleep. I forgot what I was. My power naps are so deep sleep. We can have a discussion now. You can ask. You can just chat for a bit, just generally. You can also take a break. You've also been working hard. Hi, Shashti. So it was a successful routine. A successful 1.5 hour of streaming. Let's go. Hi, hi Prashant. Oh, hi. My name is Pragya. Okay, okay. Hi Pragya. Do you take short naps? How do you take short naps? So basically, I just went and crashed on the bed. But what you should do for short naps is like take a cloth. Like I take a thin cloth and soak it in like water, cold water or just water. Like fold it up into like a belt putty and put on your eyes. That's the best feeling. And then just don't keep any thoughts. Just go and crash on the bed and just sleep. Must. So you'll really and then just don't keep any thoughts. Just keep the room very dark and like just put like the fan like aram se AC fan thoda lagao. You'll feel really you'll sleep and of course regulate to karna hai usko. You can't you have to have an upper limit. Like see now I knew I had a break at 4, so now I came back at 4. But I fell asleep. I went in like deep sleep in like 10 minutes. Abhinaya. Hello, senior. Gathered my strength and my belief. Gonna start good. Very good. Let's go. How many hours do you study in a day? It's all there. Whatever you see is how many hours I study. Plus, in college, the whole time, basically, 8 hours. I'm so grateful. Whatever I'm able to get distracted, Sunway. Whenever I'm able to get about to get distracted, Sunway starts a life. Glad to hear that, Mona. Uh, now, H. Hi, H. Device quality. As H is the most hardworking here. Like they're giving the most difficult exam UPSC. So H and no, we had college today. It was just somehow they released us. They like let us go early. We had not so much. No, no, I'm not in. Also mention that fifth shlok which you chant in your uptake. Okay, it's a shlok called Bhaktamar. Uska sixth shlok is for memory and intelligence. Yes, Shiv. How was your short nap? How short was your nap? 10 minutes. Not more than 10-15 minutes max. Back exercises, yeah, physics and CRT. Ansh 11th OC notes नहीं लिखे कैसे करूं? It's okay, you can still make them. You're in 12th, no, just now. भैया college में ragging का experience नहीं. No, no ragging. Absolutely no ragging. Zero. I bought the 37 years PYQ to solve, but okay. Up to you. I had to solve it both times. Like, but up to you, whatever. If suicide, then follow that. I'm in KM. I mean, it has been 25. Okay, all the best. Currently doing KTG. Good. Yeah, KM Mumbai. Hmm. Really, planning is also. Hi, Swapnil. LMR short notes होते हैं क्या? Basically summarizing like a large amount of information in a very short amount of space, which makes it easier to revise. All in one place. So like all chapters of say physics in one, not in one place necessary, but at least one chapter in one place. Everything important about that formula, that everything basically. My desk is very messy and I have to clear it right now in my break. या क्या मैं एनसीईआरटी को भी बायो जैसे रीड करना है क्या ऑलमोस्ट लाइक बायो स्पेशली इनऑर्गेनिक तो बट ऑल एवरीवन सेज इनऑर्गेनिक बायो जैसे पढ़ो बट आई तो फील एवरीथिंग You made your LMR before every part test or when the syllabus had ended. Chemistry I started after syllabus ended, but ideally I should have made it with every chapter. Physics I think I did with every chapter only. ठीक है चलो. Which module for practice for physics? Just do what your coaching is giving you. Chalo, I'll start with our goals. I'll finish insulin. So I'll do insulin and I will finish neurophysio in the next half an hour, 1 hour. We'll take a break at 6 p.m. Right, let's go. 9:34. Good. Thank you, Radha. I always do that if you observe. But yes, true. Right, I understand actually. That makes sense. I'm sure you also must be having to work really hard, no? UPSC, I can imagine. But when are you giving your exam, like your final exam? Oh, you have 20 people. Nice. I'll try putting a video on 11, maybe. Okay, that's all. I'll also study content in time limits. Yeah, always time limits always works. Otherwise, if you have like a roof saying like, oh, I'll study the full day. One thing I really felt good after starting this 4:30 thing is because I used to never have a cap at night. So basically, if I'm say at 2 p.m. in my day and I have the whole day, I'll think like, oh, I have the whole day, and that whole day will be like, oh, 2 to 1 a.m. I have the whole day. So then when I'll be like, oh, I have too much time. If I think I have too much time, then I'll go slow. Then I won't end up doing. Then I'm actually I still end up wasting time. So when I tell myself, okay, now I have only time. Say it's 5 p.m. I know that, and sometimes before exams, so you're like, oh, we think that we'll stay up the whole night. So we'll be like, oh, 5 to like I have 5 a.m. the next day. I'm like, oh, I have 12 hours. I can do so much, and I have to not do anything because I'm like, there's so much time. I'll do it in some time, do it in some time. But now I know that I do not have time above 9:30, so I better get things done. It kind of creates an upper roof. Oh, nice, 26. Okay, all the best. You still have a lot of time, I'm sure. A lot of portion, no? Have you taken maths or maths as the optional? True, अब इतने time limit लेके एक chapter ही complete कर. Yeah, so we should just have very restricted time limits, and then that makes it much easier. How do you improve calculations in physics? Solving speed has to go fast. कल evening का क्या timetable है? Don't know, na. Like, see, it's very random. Whenever my college ends, I come back home and I just start. Oh, right, kal evening, tomorrow Sunday. I don't know, yeah. Let's see. I can't say for Sunday. I'll try to be on however long possible. How much of a time we can. Okay, then, chalo. Let's get back. Let's celebrate a good break and we'll get back now. Next PM at 6 p.m. Till 6, like, concentrate studies now, chalo. You can put your goals. Yeah, let's start. Stay on mute. Now, mechanism of insulin secretion. The beta cells are a large number of glucose transporters that permit a rate of glucose influx that is proportional to the glucose concentration in physiological range. Glucose is phosphorylated to glucose 6-phosphate by glucokinase, and this appears to be rate limiting step. It is subsequently oxidized to from ATP. ATP inhibits the ATP sensitive potassium channels. Closure of potassium channels depolarizes the cell membrane. It opens voltage-gated calcium channels that will cause fusion of the docked insulin-containing vesicles to the cell membrane. The secretion of insulin into extracellular fluid by exocytosis. Other nutrients such as certain amino acids can also be metabolized by beta cells to increase intracellular ATP levels. So nutrients such as amino acids can be metabolized by beta cells. So amino acids are metabolized by the beta cells to increase the intracellular ATP levels. Amino acids can also will cause other nutrients such as amino acids can also be metabolized by beta cells to increase the intracellular ATP levels. You're increasing intracellular ATP levels and stimulates the insulin secretion. Some hormones such as glucagon-like peptide, glucose-dependent insulinotropic peptide, which is called gastric inhibitory peptide, and acetylcholine increase the intracellular calcium levels. Okay. So amino acids can be metabolized by beta cells to increase the levels of ATP inside the cell. Increase the level of ATP inside the cells. Hmm. Other nutrients such as amino acids. So other nutrients, right? Other nutrients such as certain amino acids can be metabolized by beta cells to increase the intracellular ATP levels. So the amino acids can be metabolized by the beta cell. Amino acids are metabolized by beta cells to increase the intracellular ATP levels. So amino acids are metabolized by beta cells to increase intracellular ATP levels. Increase intracellular ATP levels. Take and secretes. Some hormones such as glucagon-like peptide, glucose-dependent insulinotropic peptide. So glucagon-like peptide, glucose-dependent insulinotropic peptide, which is called gastric inhibitory peptide, which is only uh, glucose-dependent insulinotropic peptide. Glucose-dependent insulinotropic. Glucose-dependent insulinotropic peptide is called gastric inhibitory peptide. Glucose inhibitory peptide is called gastric inhibitory peptide. Gastric inhibitory peptide and acetylcholine increase the intracellular calcium levels through other signaling pathways and enhance the effect of glucose, although they do not have other major effects on insulin secretion in the absence of glucose. Fine. Other signaling pathways. Fine. Other signaling pathways. Alpha adrenergic receptors like somatostatin and norepinephrine will act on the alpha adrenergic receptors and they will inhibit the exocytosis of insulin. Sulfonylurea drugs stimulate insulin secretion by binding to the ATP. Sulfonylurea will cause insulin to be secreted. Sulfonylurea will cause insulin to be secreted by binding to the ATP sensitive potassium channels. They cause insulin secretion by binding to ATP sensitive uh, potassium channels. ATP sensitive potassium channels blocking their activity. So sulfonylurea drugs will stimulate the insulin secretion. Fine, they will stimulate insulin secretion. Secretion. Diabetes mellitus metabolic syndrome Insulin secretion, diabetes mellitus, metabolic syndrome. Hmm. Insulin dependent glucokinase. Insulin dependent. Insulin like glucagon like peptide as glucagon like peptide, insulin dependent. So there's sulfonylurea drugs. Sulfonylurea drugs will stimulate the insulin secretion by binding to ATP sensitive potassium channels. Sulfonylurea drugs will stimulate insulin secretion by binding to ATP sensitive. Depolarizing effect that triggers insulin secretion, making these drugs useful for stimulating insulin with type 2 diabetes. Sulfonylurea are nanogram per minute is kept at this high level thereafter. Insulin secretion increases markedly in two stages. Amino acids, some of the amino acids have similar effect on arginine and lysine are the most potent amino acids for arginine and lysine. Arginine and lysine are most potent to stimulate for this to stimulate. So they're most potent to stimulate insulin secretion. Arginine and lysine are most potent for insulin stimulation. Fine. Some of the amino acids have a similar effect in glucose as stimulating the beta cells. So they have a similar effect in glucose. Has a similar effect in glucose in stimulating the beta cells. Similar effect in glucose. Now, factors that increase or decrease insulin secretion. Let's see. The most potent is arginine and lysine. Arginine and lysine. HbA1c, fasting glucose plasma levels 104, normal 100 to 180. So, in amino acid administration in the absence of blood cell glucose correspond increase in insulin secretion. Administration in the absence of rise of blood glucose at the same time the blood glucose concentration secretion. Strongly potentiate the glucose stimulus. Gastrointestinal hormones, GID. Mixture of several important gastrointestinal hormones, gastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin, glucagon-like peptide 1, uh, glucose-dependent insulinotropic peptide, GIP. Glucose-dependent gastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin, glucagon-like peptide, and glucose-dependent insulinotropic peptide, GIP. It's also called gastric inhibitory peptide, which is glucose-dependent insulinotropic peptide. Gastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin, glucagon ठीक है. Gastric inhibitory peptide. Cause moderate increases in the insulin secretion. ठीक है. It cause moderate increase in the insulin secretion. Two of these hormones, GLP and GIP, appear to be the most potent and often called as incretins because they enhance the rate of insulin secretion. They're called incretins. Incretins. Incretins are a gastric inhibitory peptide, that is GIP, gastric inhibitory peptide, and GLP-1. Gastric inhibitory peptide GIP. Gastric inhibitory peptide. Gastric inhibitory peptide. GIP hormones. Several important gastrointestinal hormones. Gastrointestinal hormones. I should put there also. I should put color. Inhibitory gastric inhibitory peptide. ठीक है. GIP1 and GIP1 gastric inhibitor. Rate of insulin release from the pancreatic beta cell. They enhance the rate of insulin release from the pancreatic beta cells in response to an increase in plasma glucose. So they will enhance the rate of insulin release from the pancreatic beta cells in response to an increase in the plasma glucose. GLP-1 and GIP, that is. Incretin hormones which are released by cells in the incretin hormones which are released by cells in the epithelium of the GI tract. Epithelium of GI tract. Incretin are released by epithelium of GI tract, having a significant impact on maintaining adequate glucose tolerance. By inducing the release of insulin in response to glucose levels, they prevent excessive elevation of postprandial glucose level. They prevent the excessive elevation of postprandial glucose levels, and they are released in the epithelium of the GI tract. Hmm. So epithelium of the GI tract, significantly maintaining adequate glucose tolerance. By inducing the release of insulin response to glucose, they prevent excessive elevation of postprandial glucose. The incretin effect is so incretin मतलब क्या वो insulin effect कर रहा है. It's really assessed by comparing the secretion of insulin after an intravenous and oral dose of glucose, which produce similar changes in blood glucose as administration of copper orally leads to the secretion of two hormones from the epithelium of GI tract. These hormones are GIP, glucose dependent insulinotropic factor, that is gastric inhibitory peptide, that is glucose induced glucose dependent insulinotropic peptide, and GLP-1, that is glucagon like peptide. These hormones stimulate insulin release, which in turn increases glucose disposal. The peptide hormone that is released by the L cells in the epithelium of GI tract. GLP-1, that is glucagon like peptide, is a peptide hormone that is stimulated by the L cells in the GI tract epithelium and are uniformly distributed across the jejunum, ileum, and colon. Jejunum, ileum, and colon. Originally designated as gastric inhibitory peptide, was found to have an ability to stimulate insulin production at normal levels in the body. It was given a new name, glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide, although keeping the same acronym. Oh, it's released by K cells that are primarily located in the duodenum. GIP is by K cells of the duodenum. In individuals with type 2 diabetes, there is a significant decrease in absence. So type 2 diabetes, there is a significant decrease or absence of the incretin effect. Type 2 diabetes, there's a decrease or absence of the incretin effect. Okay, incretin भी कम होता है, damn. So incretin effect is also less in type 2 diabetes, and it will also, of course, decrease the amount also. So incretin effect भी है, type 2 diabetes भी same. ठीक. Type 2 diabetes, incretin effect. Type 2. Mellitus. Okay, research. Insulin dependent. Fine. Mm. So GIP, which is called glucose dependent insulinotropic factor, insulinotropic factor, which is basically by the K cells of the duodenum. GIP is by the K cells that is located in the duodenum. K cells of duodenum. Usually type of a significant decrease or absence of the incretin effect. There needs to be more light and less light. In relation to type 2 diabetes, a significant decrease of incretin effect. Extensive research continues to be focused on the advancement of incretin-based treatments for patients with type 2 diabetes. The therapies involve the use of substances which closely resemble the incretins, which in turn stimulate the effects. They include inhibitors that prevent the breakdown of the hormone by the enzyme. So they will have inhibitors that will prevent the breakdown of hormones by enzymes, leading to an increase in the levels of incretins in the bloodstream. Both strategy of therapy and effectively after ongoing research is focused on more developing optimized techniques, more developed focused on developing optimizing techniques. Other hormones are the autonomic nervous and the autonomic that directly increase insulin secretion or potentiate the glucose stimulus for insulin secretion include glucagon. Really? How would glucagon do that? Growth hormone, cortisol, and to a lesser extent, progesterone and estrogen. The clinical importance of the stimulatory effects of glucagon of these hormones is that prolonged secretion of any one of them in large quantities can occasionally lead to exhaustion of the beta cells of the islets of Langerhans and thereby increase the risk for development of diabetes mellitus. So glucagon, growth hormone, cortisol, and even estrogen and progesterone, but that in a lesser amount. So estrogen also and progesterone, but in a lesser amount. Now the role of insulin. What is the role of insulin? And the other hormones in switching between carbohydrate and lipids. Switching between carbohydrates and lipids. Glucose concentration is low, insulin secretion is suppressed, and fat is almost exclusively used for energy everywhere except the brain. Insulin and other hormones in switching between carbohydrate and lipid. Insulin and okay, the glucose concentration is low, insulin secretion is suppressed, and the fat is used almost exclusively for energy everywhere except in the brain. So fat is used everywhere except the brain. Hmm. Growth hormone and cortisol are secreted when hypoglycemia होता है. So अगर ग्लूकोज कम होगा तो then growth hormone and cortisol will be secreted. Inhibit the cellular utilization. So growth hormone and cortisol inhibit cellular utilization and promote fat utilization. Epinephrine is usually important in increasing the plasma glucose and increase of stress and sympathetic nervous system excited. However, epinephrine is differently from the hormones that it increases the plasma fatty acid concentration at the same time. Therefore, epinephrine especially enhances the utilization of fat in such stressful states such as exercise, circulatory shock, and anxiety. Exercise, circulatory shock, and anxiety. So, exercise, circulatory shock, anxiety. Exercise, circulatory shock, and anxiety. Hmm. Fasting insulin secretion. Fasting insulin secretion, C-peptide secretion. Homeostasis model assessment. Homeostasis model assessment. We check the amount of plasma concentration as well as the amount of insulin. You check the insulin, then you check the activity of glucose. That's called HOMA. Okay. Glucagon enables the storage of triglycerides and activate adipose cell lipase. And it also inhibits the storage of triglycerides in the liver, which prevents the liver from removing fatty acids from the body. Makes additional amount of fatty acid available for other tissues of the body. Hmm. Glucagon in high concentration would enhance the strength of the heart, increase the blood flow in some tissues. So it'll enhance the strength of the heart and increase the blood flow in some tissues, especially the kidneys. So blood flow in the kidneys will be increased and strength of the heart will be increased by glucagon. It's enhancing bile secretion. So bile secretion is such random. Okay, huh? Probably you want more fatty acid, huh? Inhibits gastric acid secretion. ठीक है. Increase the output of glucose in liver and thereby serves the important function of correcting the hypoglycemia. Increased blood amino acids will stimulate the secretion of glucagon. So, if you have more amino acids, you have more glucagon also. More amino acids, more glucagon. Some things on my tables. Need to clear it. Oxygen. These effects of Now, the effects of glucagon are much less important in a normal function compared to the effect on glucose. Increased blood glucose causes glucagon secretion. I read all this. Okay. Increase. Did I? No. Increase the plasma concentration of glucagon cell. Thus, in hypoglycemia, glucagon is secreted in large amounts that directly increase the output of glucose from the liver. Hypoglycemia, glucagon is secreted in large amounts that increase the output of glucose from the liver and thereby serves the important function of correcting the hypoglycemia. Hmm. Alanine and arginine will stimulate secretion of glucagon. Alanine and arginine. Why is this such random facts? Alanine and arginine stimulate glucagon. Okay, alanine and arginine stimulate glucagon. Alanine and arginine stimulate glucagon. Both alanine as well as arginine. Alanine and arginine. So alanine and arginine stimulate secretion of glucagon. This is the same effect that amino acids have in stimulating insulin secretion. So insulin, yeah, वही same effect, no? Yeah, insulin glucagon are not opposite. The importance of amino acids stimulation of glucagon secretion and glucagon then promotes the rapid conversion of amino acid to glucose, thus making even more glucose available to the tissue. So more amino acids will mean more amino acid means more glucagon, more glucose. Exercise stimulates secretion of, and especially alanine and arginine. Alanine and arginine. And उधर था arginine and lysine. Alanine and arginine. Arginine and lysine. Come on, Sanman, I have to go much faster. I'm going thoda slow. Probably just tired from the week. Week's been pretty productive, I would say. How do you have college exams every week? It's just they're just there. It's just MBBS. You have an exam like every like 5, 6. No, every 2 weeks, so you'll have an exam at least, some part exam or something. But and via part exams, then the main exam comes because there are just so many chapters, so they have to keep ticking. That's it. That's why we study now. Otherwise, if you don't have exams, you won't study. So I also mainly studying, but now I've changed my mindset. Now I study more for the learning part of it. Otherwise, it's hard to keep up with the class. So you just at least utna to we'll finish. You're about to hit 1K. Yes. I read about 940. Yeah. 940. Oh, your option is economics. Okay. You're really so free to speak, but not look like you. You're perfect internally. Also, hope you complete. Thank you, Neha. That's really sweet of you. I will screenshot this. Yes. Soumyaji targeting me 25. All the best. Feeling very lethargic. I don't know what to do. Regulation of glucagon secretion. Fine, I think I'll just sit. I can just stretch. I'm feeling fresh also, but I feel more enthusiastic. I'm just a bit lazy now. Mm. Regulation of glucagon secretion. Regulation of glucagon secretion. Exercise will stimulate the secretion of glucagon. Exercise will stimulate more glucagon. The glucagon concentration often increases 4 to 5 fold. Damn. Not well understood because the blood glucose concentration does not necessarily fall. A beneficial effect. A beneficial effect. Right. During exhaustive exercise, so there's exhaustive exercise, the blood glucagon concentration often increases fourfold to fivefold. So in exhaustive, it often increases around 4 to 5 fold. The blood glucagon concentration will increase 4 to 5 fold, and 4 to 5 fold. The cause of this increase is when not well understood because it is not necessarily fall. The beneficial effect of glucagon is that it prevents a decrease in glucose. So that it's secreted to prevent a decrease in glucagon. Factor that might cause glucagon secretion during exercise is the circulating amino acids. Other factors such as beta adrenergic stimulation of islets of Langerhans may also play a role. The beta adrenergic stimulation of the islets of Langerhans. Beta adrenergic stimulation of islet of Langerhans may also play a role. Now the approximate plasma glucagon at different blood glucose levels. This is blood glucagon and this is blood glucose. So blood glucose जैसे जैसे कम हो रहा है वैसे glucagon बढ़ रहा है. Fine. Now a muscle tissue में glycogen synthesis increases glycogen synthesis. No effect. Amino acid uptake. No effect. Glucose transport. No effect. K plus transport में insulin will increase the K plus transport. Glucagon will decrease the K plus transport. Now liver. Oh, this is glycogenolysis, gluconeogenesis. It prevents glycogenolysis, decreases gluconeogenesis, glucagon and increases protein synthesis, and glucagon will decrease the protein. फैटी एसिड सिंथेसिस इंसुलिन से बढ़ेगा और ग्लूकोगॉन से कम होगा. फैटी एसिड सिंथेसिस will be decreased in by glucagon and increased by insulin. More insulin, more fatty acid, more glucagon, less fatty acid. Okay, less fatty acid synthesis. Insulin will cause more fatty acid synthesis. It will cause less lipolysis, more lipolysis. Storage of triglycerides will increase because it's being converted from glycerol itself, from glucose itself. Glucose itself, ठीक है. And triglycerides, you're increasing the storage of triglycerides and insulin and glucagon are decreasing the storage. Mm, different blood glucose levels. Yeah, why is the chapter getting over? This is such a huge chapter. Okay, we finished some pages, not much really, but ठीक है, I guess it's fine. In 3 hours. Like 4 hours. Hmm. 5:30. ठीक है, I think I'll stop now because I think I'll sleep for a bit. I'm feeling very like sleepy, and I think there's lack of sleep for last. Like I slept like 6.5 hours, but that's not enough. I feel 7 hours, so I need. Yesterday I slept a less. Day before I slept, but every day I'm averaging like 6 hours 45 minutes. Not really exactly 7 hours. So thoda accumulate over time. I'm getting tired. So then we'll meet tomorrow morning, 4:30, and I'll probably sleep for a bit, and then I'll go down to study for a bit, change of place, or I'll do something else. But for now, right now, I feel I'll sleep. I need some rest. So, bye, guys. See you tomorrow. Anything I want to discuss before, you can let me know. I shall end then. ठीक है चल, this works right. Bye.